George, first of all, it's great to see you. You know, chemistry is an interesting thing that a coach can only do so much. Utah has very good chemistry. I get the same team. I get the same defense. I get the same effort every night. The Clippers, whose star is kind of a nonverbal guy, they're not very communicative late. Their chemistry is weird. I get a different team every half. How much of that's on the coach? I mean, they blame Doc Rivers for it. Now Ty Lue. How much can a coach do to create chemistry, or is it up to the players?
I think it's a little bit of a 50-50 proposition. I think what I didn't like about the Clippers, and I still don't like about the Clippers, they've been this way the whole season. They've been up and down. They've been committed and non-committed. I don't even know what they did at the end of the season. It pissed everybody off. I mean, there's just too much negative energy going on in L.A. in my mind.
Yeah.
And negative energy, I think, in the playoffs is bad. It's not good.
Yeah. You know, it's Donovan Mitchell's an interesting player. He's a combo guard. So now with Mike Conley out, he's got to be a little bit more of a distributor. But he's always been a scorer. He's like a little bit of a D Wade, where he's a natural scorer. He will defend you. There's a little combo thing going on here. Can you have long-term, can you win a championship with Donovan Mitchell, a scorer, kind of a scoring guard, being your lead guard and having to distribute too?
I'm kind of against that, but a lot of teams are trying to do it because LeBron is the point guard for the LA Lakers. He says he's a forward, but he's the point guard. I'm telling you, Donovan Mitchell is really, really good right now.
Yeah.
I think the two guys that are blowing up are Booker and Mitchell. Those two guys have made a big step in this playoffs to being a stud, an NBA all-star. I mean, not all-star, but NBA first team or second team player.
Yeah.
And I met Donovan Mitchell, I think his second year in the league. I spent some time in Utah with him. He's an amazing person. He really wants this. He really wants the challenge and responsibility of being a big time player, playing on the big stage and winning big games. And, you know, people forget he played great in the bubble.
Yeah.
He played great in the bubble. And he lost in the first round, so we all forget that. And the truth of the matter, he was dynamite in the bubble last year, and he's dynamite now. But I think what you're missing a little bit is Ingles is a point guard. Joe Ingles can distribute the ball about as well as any small forward in the NBA. And he knows the game, has great basketball IQ. And so I think it allows Donovan Mitchell to be okay. But the big thing that Utah has in its back pocket is Mike Conley is going to come back.
Yeah.
And Mike Conley's history in NBA playoffs is big time. He's been a primetime performer in the NBA playoffs in Memphis for many, many years.
Yeah.
So that's why I like Utah more than I like the Clippers.
You know, it's interesting. You had a lot of stars when you coached throughout the years. You had Carmelo Anthony, you had Rondo, you had Iverson, you had Gary Payton, a lot of stars. Most of those guys, but some of those guys are a little difficult personality-wise. DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, you had your share of guys that were difficult. Now, Kawhi, George, is difficult in a different way. Load management, physically, he and Pop didn't work. He's not a talker. You know, that's not who he is. Would you struggle coaching him, or how would you adapt to his personality?
I think you got to try to push him in the right direction, but you also got to realize he's who he is.
Yeah.
And trying to change him I've never been a guy that thinks you should change somebody unless he wants to change. And I think that's where I think Kawhi just bothers everybody, because when he plays the right way, when he is focused and he's demanding of himself, he might be the best player in basketball.
Yeah.
At both ends of the court. I mean, some of his games against Dallas were unbelievably efficient. I mean, shooting jump shots and shooting 60 and 70% is unheard of. And I mean, he's an amazing guy, but then he goes out in these last two games. He's been okay.
Yeah.
He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been a superstar like he was in the last 3 or 4 games of the Dallas series.
Yeah. You know, I want to talk about Chris Paul because you played some basketball yourself, and I said I would have given Chris Paul the MVP. I know he's not going to score 30 a game, but we haven't had a scoring champ win a title in this league in 20 years. Is that the truth of the matter is, in basketball, if I'm scoring 32, I'm taking shots and points and stats from you, and you can't have resentment. You need guys who are making others better. Chris Paul's a fascinating player. Literally everywhere he goes, everywhere. He's gotten terrible breaks. He was going to be a Laker. He got sent to Donald Sterling. He had to deal with Katrina first 2 years in the league. He got sent to the tanking OKC Thunder. The Suns were a mess when he got moved there. Can you compare him to anything? What about him do you love? And was there any player that you ever played against early in the 70s, 80s? Who do we compare Chris Paul to?
I think he's a more talented John Stockton. That's who I think he is. Other than, John Stockton played in one place his whole career. This guy is the maestro of point guards in the NBA today. I just think he orchestrates the game. He manipulates the game at both ends of the court. He's not a great defender anymore, but he's a good defender. His mind still thinks defense.
Yeah.
And I think Phoenix right now has the best combination of young talent and old talent. I mean, Jay Crowder and Chris Paul and Torrey Craig, they have old guys that know how to win games. But the guys that are really blowing up are Ayton and Booker and a little bit Cameron Payne.
Yeah.
And then you got Mikal Bridges, who I didn't think had a very good rookie year, and now he's playing like a stud.
Yeah.
I like Phoenix and Utah, and if they meet in the next round, I think Phoenix is going to win because of Chris Paul.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree. I want to go to the East. Ben Simmons, it drives me nuts. I think he's an unbelievable talent, but he doesn't work on that jumper. And then you got Embiid, who's a super talent, but you've got the injury thing. If they get vanquished here by Atlanta and they don't win, they may break those guys up. Daryl Morey's been a very aggressive general manager. George, what do you do when you got Simmons, who doesn't want to get better at what he weak? You got Embiid, who's got an injury history. Even now, he's got a meniscus tear. If Philadelphia gets beat by Atlanta, what do you do with those two?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest question I would ask you just got saying a scoring champion hasn't won the MVP for 20 years. We had a big guy win the MVP for the first time in 21 years this year in Jokic. And Embiid is a different type of player. I like Jokic, and I would never trade Jokic. But Embiid is he puts big numbers up. He's got to be given the ball a lot. He's got to be given a lot of attention to be successful. And I don't like that totally and completely in today's game. The fast game, the efficient game of playing fast, playing with the 3-ball, I think is actually more efficient than playing through Embiid.
Yeah.
Jokic is different because he's a playmaker. He's more of a passer than a scorer. But Embiid likes to put numbers up. And I'm not sure that's the most efficient game in the NBA today.
No, it's a really good point. George, it's a really, really good point. As a guy can be great, I've said this for years, is that some players, the game moves into you. Like Russell Westbrook's a great talent, but the game became a 3-ball shooting league, and he doesn't shoot the 3. And so the game kind of moved away from Westbrook's style. And what you're saying with Embiid is you love him as a talent, but the math doesn't add up. I mean, let's talk Giannis for a second. Giannis is a great player. Coach, I can't have him on the free throw line late. He can't shoot outside of... I mean, what do you do with Giannis?
You teach him how to shoot. You make him learn how to shoot. Shooting is a learned effort. I mean, it's practice. It's going out and just doing it. I mean, I've coached a lot of guys that, guys like Nate McMillan and Sam Perkins and guys... We made them into 3-point shooters because you have to play. To play in the league today, you got to be able to make the 3. And 33% is acceptable. We like it to be closer to 40. But I just think Ben Simmons and Giannis got to know that you can't win a championship missing free throws. And you probably can't win a championship having a player out there that can't shoot the three.
Yeah. George Karl, 27 years. He's got a new podcast called Truth and Basketball with George Karl, a 3-time cancer survivor. Known you a long time. I think your insight's great. It's great seeing you. You're going to get a bunch of 90-degree days in Denver now. Go golf. Go have fun. Good for you. It's great seeing you.
And we got NBA playoff basketball, and I love the small market teams. I love Utah. I love Phoenix. I think Milwaukee, I'm still rooting for them because I played there. I'm having a lot of fun right now, Colin. Thank you.
You bet. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.